Welcome to the A Critical Podcast with your host Andy and Andrew, where we are going to talk about politics and news and pretend to know things. What are we talking about this week?
Is that why we call it acritical?
Yeah, because we're acritical of ourselves.
And we both start with A.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe. We could change
I thought
the
it was
name.
just like an acritical podcast.
A critical podcast, yeah. But like we say acritical.
But I just noticed you were emphasizing the A.
We've been saying acritical the whole time.
I thought you meant like acritical.
Every episode I've opened with acritical.
I thought it was acritical.
When we talked about this so much, I always said acritical, and you're like, yeah.
I thought it was acritical podcast.
Well, it's a
capital.
hyphen.
Well, because you always start with a capital letter.
No, but it's a hyphen critical.
I didn't realize that.
Remember the first was a double A.
Okay.
But we shorten it.
Okay.
We can always change the name tomorrow.
All right. Well, there's some new information for me.
News.
But for this week, Albanese tours the Pacific and becomes a Chinese thirst trap.
Oh, yes.
Yes. The coal strike with bag checks for workers. And they will, I think it was, they're refusing to clean up vomit, and they will punish workers for cleaning up vomit.
Yep.
And we're also going to talk about how Dutto is a fool.
Well, just how people are piggybacking on political activism, which is harmful to progress.
So, Prime Minister toured through the Pacific in one of the Pacific Islands.
Anthony Albanese. Hey, he can join the podcast because he's an A.
A critical. We should invite him on.
Hey, Albo, you want to come on our podcast with 0 views?
0 viewers. Yeah, sure. Righto, boys.
This buffhead has 0 views.
Fucking buffhead.
I just love when Peter Dutton stood up and he called him a buffhead. I lost my shit. I just want him to call more people buffhead.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'll vote for him again purely so he can call people buffhead.
And then Dutto will call someone a puffter, and then he'll think he's doing the same thing, but he's not.
No, it's a completely different word.
Yeah. So he visited Tuvalu, and he made a.
What if I told you about accents?
That's not an accent. I just said Tuvalu.
You're singing it? Musical?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sing all the time. The Prime Minister has made a pact with the low-lying country.
Why do we have to call it a low-lying country?
Because it is low-lying. Apparently, it is very on sea level.
Okay.
It's like the Dutch. They're very sea level.
The Dutch.
The Dutchland. Allowing residents...
Deutschland is Germany.
No, the Dutchland. I said Dutchland, not Deutschland.
Well, fucking all right.
Open your ears, cunt. All right. Allowing residents facing displacement from climate change the ability to resettle in Australia. The US and New Zealand have similar agreements with other Pacific countries, but the Conservatives didn't like it.
Okay, before we get to the Conservative thing, because we all know the answer to that.
Yeah.
You know what a better answer is?
Just don't
stop climate change so the island doesn't sink.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's more of like we know it's going to happen anyway.
Okay, here's an elaborate plan that the Conservatives would come up with. All right?
What?
We wait for a volcano to explode in the region.
Yeah.
And then we just move them to the volcano because the volcano will be higher.
That's true.
We just wait for a new island.
Let's just move them to an active volcano.
No, we just wait for a new island to form that's higher, and we just move the entire population there.
You know, one of the boys at work told me a new island was just created in Japan.
Yeah.
Out of a volcano.
Yeah.
And it was just made. But then, and then it went dormant, and now it's just like an island.
That's how islands are formed, dude.
Yeah, millions and millions of years ago, and then they become trees and plants and things.
Hundreds of years ago.
Hundreds of years ago.
What do you think the Galapagos Islands are?
Are those new?
They're relatively new compared to other land masses.
Are those new?
They're relatively new, yes.
I feel a bit silly today.
It's because they're studying how seeds and animals get to the Galapagos Islands because there's there wasn't much there.
Yeah, because they don't really have trees, do they?
No. So they're studying what plants and things get there. That's why when people go to the Galapagos, they have to be de-seeded, de-everythinged.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have a single seed on the sole of your shoe or in your pants, because you take that into that environment, it might take over the whole island and destroy the delicate ecosystem, because it's still developing.
Do you think someone's trying to like smuggle seeds on the Galapagos Islands?
I don't think anyone.
David Attenborough's like hiding in the bushes, sniffing them down.
I don't think anyone's in. It's just David Attenborough, like, this is.
She doesn't have anything.
I don't think anyone is intentionally taking things on the island, but like, it will happen. And like, the whole thing about islands is how they get their seeds is bird droppings and animals that wash up and things that wash up. But the issue is because there's so much waste from humanity and everything that it ends up there anyway. So
that's like how those Galapagos lizards was pretty much just like a lizard from Africa or from either South America or Africa, just like somehow made its way over there.
Yeah. The diving.
Yeah. The diving iguana.
Yeah, and they eat off the sea floor. Like, a couple of them probably got washed in a storm or something, or whatever.
Yeah,
and then that's how a whole population forms. That's exactly how it happens, Andrew.
We got off track.
So a new island will form, and then that's exactly how it gets populated. Yes,
we got off track.
Science.
We got off track.
Science.
Yes, we did.
Okay, so the people of Tuvalu, Australia has said, you can come.
You can come here.
Yes.
You can look. Your house isn't that great.
It's full of water.
It's full of water. It's full of water. You can come here.
I can just imagine Albanese coming in and being like, you need more than a couple of buckets.
Traditionally, the country that doesn't take care of its own flooded residents takes care of other flooded
Escape
residents.
and flood? Come here. The only house you'll be able to afford is in a floodplain.
Yeah, right. Fucking
and everyone's insurance premiums went up because now we have to cover for floods.
Well, it's like, did you ever see that map of the world? Okay, we're getting off topic again, but ever see that map of the world where it's like showing where the waters will rise?
Yeah.
The ice caps melt.
Sea levels, yeah.
Australia doesn't really have that much happen to it. Are we really above sea level?
Yeah.
I was like, what are we looking at? And I was like, well, Victoria's mostly gone in New South Wales, but that doesn't matter. But like the rest of it.
So like we will lose kilometers and kilometers and kilometers of beachfront.
Yeah. But then we've got more beachfront anyway.
Yeah. But our rivers will get deeper and everything. And people argue that the inland sea will reform because there'll be more water flowing.
Like every.
But the thing is like most of our population is coastal.
Yeah.
So then people will be moving further inland.
We're like 50 kilometers from the coast.
Yeah. So, everything's coastal. So like your populations will have to move, which means there'll be a high demand for housing. But it's not like the ice caps will instantly melt tomorrow and then the sea levels will be higher. It's the thing that why people pump sand onto the beaches and why we've always got excavators there fighting erosion and everything from the higher tides, the higher everything.
Yeah.
It's the governments and builders have to recognize that in 40, 50 years, if sea levels keep rising, we need to gradually move these houses further inland.
Outward, yeah.
Yeah, and but instead they're like, fight the ocean, build walls. Yeah. Like you see those countries that have like these huge walls, and the second there's a high sea, it's like fucking bashing over the walls and shit. And people are like standing below sea level, like watching this shit crack. And you're like, damn.
Would that make it worse because you're just making a big bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the tide doesn't even come in and out.
Yeah.
It's the land it's the earth rotating within the ball of water.
Yeah, because the moon is like pulling the gravity out towards it.
Yeah, pulling the water out towards it, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually, the tide doesn't come in and out. It's actually the earth shifting within the ball of water.
Yeah. So, science.
Science episode.
More science. Something that you knew. Well, I mean, hopefully.
But yeah, so the Conservatives are pretty much saying, no, we don't want immigrants.
We don't want them. We need to take care of Australians.
Yeah, it's like, yes, you do need to take care of Australians, but you also need to take care of your neighbours.
Also,
because and they whinge that the Pacific Islands and everything are going towards China and other allies.
Yep.
And it's because fucking the last decade they've neglected them and been like, "What? You're just some dude who lives on an island. That's your fault."
You're a brown person on an island. Why would I, a white Australian, care about you?
Yeah, like they're like, man, sure sucks to be born there.
It's like, hang on, I'm white.
It's like just in a video game, just being like, wow, that was a shitty spawn point.
Yeah, pretty much.
like it's not my fault that you were born there, so get fucked.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
their exact opinion.
And also the Prime Minister visited China.
Yes, first visit in 7 years.
First visit in 7 years. The first Australian leader to visit China in 7 years. Who would have that been?
Phenomenal.
Who was the one? Would that have been Tony Abbott? Or would that have been Turnbull?
No, Turnbull or...
Oh, no, that would have been 2015. It would have been Turnbull because he got in 2015.
Maybe Turnbull.
Yeah, I think it was Turnbull.
But still, crazy.
Yeah,
they're our biggest trade partner.
Our biggest
trade partner. We rely so much on them. They rely so much on us.
Like 50% of our trade?
Oh, something like some ridiculous amount. And like our exports too. Like we export food, steel, coal, everything to China.
Yeah.
So and like this anti-China sentiment that everyone seems to have is purely because they have a different way of running their system. Yes, they have child labor. Yes, they have all this and other stuff. But the thing is capitalism utilizes that child labor. That's why things are cheap.
That's why it's the way it is.
That's why you can buy cheap Chinese things.
Believe it or not, 100 years ago, we did the exact same thing. Not even 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And like the thing is like we rely on these not first world countries.
Yeah.
We rely on the global south, as they call it.
Yeah.
Who have this high export, low pay.
South, north. China. North.
Yeah, China's north, but
global south.
You talk about the global south. It's like South America, South Africa, South America, Africa, that kind of region. Your southern, your South Asian countries and stuff like that.
Great Southern Land. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the Western world and a lot of countries rely on the cheap products to come from these places that don't pay their workers or pay their workers like 50 cents a day or whatever.
Did you hear my benchers?
Yeah, I hear you benchers. We're not talking about that south, you fuck.
Well, that's the reference they're making though when they're talking about the global south.
No. That is not what the
that
reference.
Is 100% what they.
When people say the global south, they're referring to countries that are being exploited for their cheap labor and exploited for their materials and minerals by big companies. They're not talking about incest and banjo playing.
I didn't say incest.
That's what's implied when you go.
No, they're talking about the global south because the South of America was famously underdeveloped.
Yes,
and massively taken advantage of.
Yes,
exactly,
and exploited for their natural resources.
And then they also play banjos. Ding 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 ding.
Stop! You're contextually out of line.
Contextually,
you're contextually out of line. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you forget what we were talking about, or should I continue?
No, we're talking about China and Albanese.
Yeah, we are. All right. The summit followed 18 months of efforts to stabilize the relationship between both countries.
Thank the Lord.
Mr. Xi greeting Albanese with a handshake.
Xi. It's Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping. Xi. Greeting Mr. Albanese with a handshake and a little tongue in the ear.
A tongue in the ear? A whisper, do you mean?
A whisper. No, a tongue. It was a tongue.
Should we become an ASMR podcast?
Yeah. Mr. Albanese said the discussion with Mr. Xi was one of goodwill, where we spoke about our common interests going forward. He also said he fucks on the first date.
We removed tariffs. They removed tariffs.
A
big export that we have, again, is our wine into China, which was stopped during COVID, which is huge for our wine industry.
Oh, dude, they were talking about wine. He was like,
huge.
You want to drink my wine? I'll drink your wine.
Millions of dollars. Millions for the industry.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
And you know what? Thanks to Albanese
going down
and Kevin Rudd
going down on G.
Thanks to Australia's efforts. For once, Australia's a positive force in the world. we have helped. No one will give us credit, but we have helped a US president talk to China for the first time in years as well.
Do you think they had a threesome?
No,
I don't. Hope so. I hope there's a clip of it.
But
somewhere.
That's where Albanese is now.
Yeah.
Acting as, I don't know, mediator or something.
Yeah.
And as much as people don't like Kevin Rudd, he's been out there for years saying, stop this anti-China sentiment. You're going to get people fucking killed. And that's why he's our US ambassador, because he's over there saying, or emissary or whatever, he's over there saying, quit with the anti-China shit because it's all of our biggest trade partner. We need them. Yeah. They need us. Cut the bullshit.
And it's all because of Taiwan, which was already... It's a very contentious, obviously, because they have their own... Like, I believe everybody should have their own... Like, if they want to be their own country, they should want to be their own country.
Yes. I am not read up enough to comment on it, but from what my understanding is that they were...
But obviously, Taiwan is basically a very much... It's very involved in the US politics.
Yeah, but it would in my understanding, it would eventually have gone back to China eventually.
Yeah.
But it just went back sooner than expected. And they were used to a more Western lifestyle and ideals than Chinese. And now that they're going back to that...
Oh, you're thinking of Hong Kong.
Then what's Taiwan then?
Taiwan is its own country.
Yeah. But like they're used to the Western support.
Yeah.
But they were going to go back to control, weren't they?
Hong Kong belonged to Britain.
Yes.
And then they gave it back to China in the 90s, and that was the two-party system.
Yeah.
And they had the two-party system, two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously
this is what I mean.
they transitioned
I'm not
back.
up to date on
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
You're not up to date.
So what's Taiwan then?
Taiwan is its own country. So basically, after the Communist Revolution in China, the capitalists, with US support, because US already had this island off the coast, that's where they basically held up. It was like basically US imperial base. Mm-hmm. They set up on the island there, and then all the rich people and capitalists fled, and all the people that didn't want to get killed by communists, like landlords and shit like that, flew over to Taiwan and escaped communist China.
The communist regime.
Yeah. So Taiwan is basically been taken care of by the US for however many years after the, Chinese Revolution and Communist Revolution in China. And yeah, that's pretty much why it exists. And they don't like, obviously they don't like it being there. And they call themselves China. They don't like to be called, they don't like to...
They don't like being called part of China.
They don't like to be called part of China. And China includes itself as, they call it a part of China, even though it's not. And it's kind of like one of those things where, obviously it's its own country now, and it has been for a very long time, and its people identify itself as people of Taiwan.
Not Chinese.
Ukrainians don't think themselves as Russian. Not every Russian thinks themselves as Ukrainian, but not every Taiwanese person think themselves as Chinese. But some Chinese people think of themselves as part of Taiwan, if that makes sense. It's a very contentious issue that is more point to ideological and historical things.
Yeah.
And the US shouldn't be involved in it, I don't think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But also, if the US pulls out, doesn't China just invade it?
Yeah, it just doesn't give them any choice whatsoever, the people, basically.
Well, I mean, in that case, if you've got a choice between the US or China, I'd go ally with someone else.
Yeah, who do you pick out of that?
What regime do you want? Do you want a military-industrial complex, or do you want a communist regime?
That was a hard one, that one. What would you rather pick, China or US? Everyone's like, of course I'd pick the US.
I want cheeseburgers.
And it's I guess because you speak their language, but I don't know.
To be honest, I wouldn't want to pick anyone. I want to keep my own country.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I was still semi-right. I still said that they're used to their Western ideals and everything. I was just
I
was incorrect. I was thinking about Hong Kong, not Taiwan, about the giving it back to China.
Yeah. Yeah. They already got it back.
Whoopsie.
But basically, they flirted each other the entire time, talking about pandas and Tasmanian devils.
Nice.
And
two animals I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
Tasmanian devils. I absolutely hate pandas.
Hate pandas.
Okay, controversial opinion.
They shouldn't exist.
Pandas should go extinct.
Same with koalas.
No. So panda...
A lot of people are pointing out that pandas and koalas are the exact same thing because they're evolutionarily, like, useless.
Stunted. Yes.
They're stunted.
No, but here's the thing. You put koalas together, they're still going to fuck.
Yeah.
You put pandas together, they're like...
I don't know.
There was a panda that was found kilometers below the region where they live.
Yeah.
And it was all because the fucking thing tripped and rolled down the mountain and was just wandering around like, where the fuck's the bamboo?
Hey, bro. Can you imagine a panda with just like a kiwi egg? Oh, that's what I imagine.
But here's the thing. Pandas used to eat meat. Yeah. They don't anymore.
Yeah.
Koalas have never eaten meat. They've always eaten
leaves.
Eucalyptus, right?
Vegetation.
But pandas were bears. They used to eat meat.
Yeah.
They used to eat, they used to be bears, but whether it was human influence, because there's been a high human influence in China for millennia.
Thousands of years.
Yeah. Not millennia. Thousands of years.
Yeah.
So whether it's entirely human impact or climate change or, naturally we are progressing out of an ice age, just climate change is increasing that rate.
Yeah.
So whether in 600 years when we were meant to be at the stage where we are now, pandas would have gone extinct or adapted, is to be seen. But they have stopped eating meat for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
They eat bamboo. They only live in a certain region. They do not pursue mates. They do not pursue breeding.
Yeah. Wasn't that thing where literally they had to make them fuck? Like they did the
They were playing videos in the zoo showing them how to fuck, and the pandas were sitting there going, a panda cub died in the zoo because its mum sat on it and didn't realize. Like, pandas are cute as hell. Don't get me wrong. I love pandas.
Oh, they're just like us.
But at some point, you have to let a species run its course.
Yeah.
Okay, if a species being negatively impacted by humans and the reason for their extinction is humans, we need to do everything we can. But if a species does not even actively search out to breed,
yeah, you can still hear koalas calling out to fuck,
bro. Koalas want to live.
They want to.
They keep and chlamydia and everything affects them.
Yeah,
but But
I mean, people with STDs still.
It's the same as the Tasmanian devils. The Tasmanian devils have that face cancer disease.
Yeah,
and they're going extinct. But
there is good news about that, though.
Yeah. But the thing is that they're actively trying themselves to not go extinct.
Yeah.
Where pandas are like, I tripped.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's over, bro.
Oh, they see a male panda sees a female panda and they're like, okay, bamboo.
I feel like they're like they've gone brain dead from diabetes or something like that. Like the bamboo gives them diabetes.
Well, I don't know, but I would love to do a big deep dive into it. But in my opinion,
the pandas.
In my opinion, pandas would have gone extinct on their own.
Yeah.
Most megafauna was on its way out to go extinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So megafauna is large mammals. Large mammals were already on their way out post full ice age.
So is there lions and elephants and stuff like that?
Elephants, giraffes, rhinos, hippos.
What about zebras?
Zebras?
Zebras.
Are you American?
I'm Australian. I just said zebra. Tomato, potato, patata.
Zebra.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Zebras.
Yeah.
I don't actually know where. I don't know where horses fall.
Yeah, do horses fall into megafauna?
I don't know, but
quick Google
it. If you look at as the Earth progressively gets hotter, megafauna progressively dies off, right? And you can see some megafauna died off from human impact. Some the giant, the Haast eagle in New Zealand, the moa.
Wild equins are another example of megafauna.
Yeah, horses.
So does that mean horses would have gone extinct if we just didn't do anything about it?
No. So So like some megafauna went extinct due to human impact, some went extinct due to environmental, and some went extinct due to an inability to adapt, or they adapted to smaller. So like,
nice.
That was my stomach. So like, if you look at like Australian megafauna, like
they all went out, didn't they?
We used to have giant kangaroos, giant wombats, giant koalas, all that, right?
We had a lot.
They started dying off because of the increase in temperature, the decrease in food.
Yeah.
And it was also the backburning from Indigenous Australians because they weren't, that helped with their extinction. But it didn't speed it up to an extent where you can blame.
Oh, did I ever tell you about that book?
Humans.
Did I ever tell you about that book that I read? And it was called *Sapiens*, like the history of humankind.
Oh dear Lord!
It was so bad, and it was talking about how like obviously colonization is bad, but did you hear about what the Aboriginal Australians did to the megafauna? They absolutely massacred them, and they massacred the apparent pygmy population. You remember that myth?
Yeah, I remember the myth.
Yeah, the pygmy population myth, and it was like, oh, they absolutely massacred the native people, and it's like, oh, who are the native people? Oh, someone who was there 80,000 years ago. So it's like 80,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with what colonization, which happened 200 years ago, 100 years ago.
Yeah, no.
Like, what?
They had an impact on megafauna extinction, but not to an extent where you blame the past.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
but also you can say Indigenous Americans had a influence on the extinction of megafauna in like the North America, but it wasn't to an extent where it was such a high impact that you can blame human impact on the extinction. It was also the changing climate.
Yeah.
Well,
but the thing was, it would also help with the cultivation because you look at horses.
Yeah.
You look at buffalo.
Yeah.
And you look at majority of like what cows and stuff like that. I imagine they'd fall into to a degree into megafauna.
Yeah. So as things get hotter and resources decrease, right? Because things dry out and die.
Yeah.
Animals need to become smaller and adapt. That's the island effect.
Yeah.
Where you have like the pygmy deer.
Yeah.
And like pygmy elephants and stuff like that. That's what you get because of less resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as the planet comes out of this age of ice and water and greenery, and you come into a hotter, drier climate, you start to get megafauna numbers come down because of reduction in food. So you start seeing things shrink, lose its hair, lose, more defense mechanisms and so on and so forth. And that's why you get smaller.
We got off topic.
Very.
All right. Let's talk about coals.
Coals.
So there's the coal strike.
Do you call it coals or coalses?
Coalses.
Coalses.
No, coals.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about the strike on the major news networks.
There was a 2-second piece, I think, on the ABC, but I mostly heard of it from alternative news sources.
Yes, TikTok.
No. It was a they're like an online reporting thing.
Yeah. Did they say much?
Basically, Coles is now subjecting their staff to bag checks.
Oh, bag checks.
So not only do they have those new fucking gates to get out of the self-serve, they now check their staff's bags for items. If you have to steal groceries
from your workplace,
you're not being paid enough.
No, exactly.
And studies show that Coles are one of the lowest paying employers in Australia.
Yeah, 100%.
And what was their profit this financial year?
Like
2 point something billion.
Yeah.
And they're worried.
I thought that was a quarter. I thought it was
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was a 10 billion annual profit.
Yeah.
And a 2.4 billion quarterly profit.
But like the thing is like they're whinging about hundreds of thousands in stolen goods.
Hundreds of thousands.
They're worried about their staff stealing food. They underpay their staff, and they've made billions, and it's so fucking hard to think.
It's like Who's the bad guy in this?
They go, who's the problem? It's the poors. The poors keep taking from us, but we need the poors to work for us.
We need the poors to work for us. We don't want them to have anything though.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, this is where we were talking about with the last week's episode, where it was like, where does this end?
Yeah. At what point?
At what point does this end?
At what point do you go, who are the shareholders and what's their address?
At what point does a government step in and go, okay, well, look, you're a company. We love you.
Well, the Greens have called for an ACCC investigation.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
That's probably because Coles is withholding pay from employees who refuse to clean up vomit, clean out trolleys, or collapse boxes as a part of a protected industrial action in hardline counter to supermarket strikes this weekend.
So the strikes they're doing...
This was on October 4th, though, so it's an old story, unfortunately, but obviously I didn't hear about this.
No, but the strike was the combined strike with Woolworths, which was a 2-hour strike in the morning, which was very pitiful.
It was so pitiful.
The new strikes that Coles workers are doing and I think mostly in Victoria and New South Wales are doing 7-minute strikes.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many they're doing during the day, but they're striking for 7 minutes at a time, which is inconveniencing customers, managers, and payroll.
Yeah.
Because payroll are trying to figure out how to pay these people, but there's little 7-minute gaps in their pay.
Yeah, and then it's like, how many 7-minute gaps did they take? They wouldn't have an average.
Yeah, so the whole idea is to not fuck the country, but to fuck Coles' internal system and pay scale.
Well, it's like the bus drivers like they just let people get on for free.
Yeah.
They don't do it. Like, they don't change anything. They just let people on for free.
But here's the thing, is like if you keep subjecting your staff to bag checks and you keep pushing this whole people can't steal rhetoric, you pay them minimum wage.
They're not
you expect them to clean up vomit, pack down boxes, take syringes out of trolleys.
They're not going to work there.
At what point do you lose your workforce? Or at what point does the workforce say, hey, chuck an extra thing in your bag, mate. I'm not going to do shit.
Bro, we literally just got KFC for lunch. How many people were working there?
2. It was 2 managers.
2 managers. And it's like the front area was closed.
Yeah, they put up a sign. They said, due to staffing issues, we do not have the front desk open. No delivery and only drive-through.
Yeah,
and we sat in the drive-through for 5 minutes. The dude goes, sorry about the wait, and he's at the window, and the other manager's doing the food, and that's it.
Yep, 100%.
And I know exactly why, and it's because kids are starting to go on schoolies.
And also, like, who the fuck is gonna work there?
Yeah, who else? Well,
who else is gonna work there?
KFC's not a real job. You hear that all the time. KFC's not a real job.
KFC's not a real job. I don't get paid enough to work there.
Yeah, KFC's for kids.
But
I want it open when I go for lunch on a Friday.
Yeah, and obviously these people look like 2 adults.
Yeah,
and these are the 2 adult managers that work at KFC.
Exactly. And everyone else is school students.
Yeah,
or sick or whatever. But obviously, like staffing issues, I would say is coming from schoolies and graduations and everything like that. But like still, like you've said it before. They're not real jobs. They're for kids.
Yeah,
and it's like
if you expect adults to work these jobs as well as kids, then you can expect
you need to pay them better.
To pay them a living wage.
But you know what? This whole minimum wage for different age, I think it's just bullshit.
It is bullshit because
just pay the kids the same,
especially if you have an 18-year-old doing the exact same work, or even let alone a 14-year-old doing the same work as a 16-year-old. I can understand the limitations of like there's different ages for different things, like what they're allowed to do safety wise.
Yeah. And there's with ages is how much they're allowed to work. Yeah. But here's the thing. If you give a 14-year-old the same pay as the 26-year-old who does the same job, not saying they're doing this. If they're not doing the same job, then don't give them the same pay.
Yeah.
But give them the same pay if they're doing the same job.
Yeah.
Because that 14-year-old getting, $19 an hour compared to that 26-year-old getting $19 an hour is so much more financial freedom for that 14-year-old than the 26-year-old.
100%.
But that 14-year-old might only need to do 8 hours a week.
Because that's the thing, right? Like, so they want kids to work more so they can pay them less. That's the whole idea about
It's the exploitation of child labor.
it's like, we're not that different, China.
Yeah. It's like,
You
it's
and me.
oh, I wonder, what if we exploit children? And it's the same. It's like
we just make it look good.
yeah, it's like, why do you see all these young kids at KFC every night? It's because they're trying to work to get their own money.
Yeah.
Where, 2 of their shifts is equal to 1 of an adult's shift. So the adults,
And, they'll only work 3-hour shifts at a time anyway.
yeah.
Because that's all the hours
If you're 14, if you have 14-year-olds,
Yeah.
Getting paid the same as a 20-year-old,
Yeah.
you might have a force of 5 14-year-olds instead of 3 14-year-olds and more 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Which means that you have more people to cover your shifts and everything.
Yep.
It's
It gets very frustrating.
yeah. So Coles are one of the lowest payers. They're subjecting their staff to bag checks, which means like they're looking through their personal items.
Yeah, and it's like, what if someone just doesn't?
Yeah, like
Doesn't want them to
the fucking police can't even just look through your bag without suspicion.
Yeah.
But apparently Coles can.
Yeah. It's like, do you have to sign a contract to approve that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be that would have to be part of their employee?
That would have to be a
employment.
part of their policy, and they'd have to sign it.
In part of their employment
Because
policy.
you can't just check someone's bag.
No.
Like, legally.
Like at the shopping center when they're like, "Can I look in your bag?" You can just say no.
Just say no.
But then they'll call security.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have a guy with a badge that says security stare at you and say,
Yeah.
"Can you open your bag, please?" And you say, "No."
So then they'll
And
call
then they'll
the
go,
cops.
"I'll call the cops." And then the cops will go, "Can I look at your bag?" And you'll say, "No."
Yeah.
And then they'll go,
Okay, here's the thing.
I did all I could.
Here's the thing, right? If you're not stealing anything, it's not hard just to go like, "There's my bag. See ya," at the shops. But if it's your personal bag after work, so like some of these guys might come straight from school to work.
Yeah.
So they might get changed in the toilets or in the locker room or something. So they'd have their clothes in their bag.
Yeah.
So you're like, "Oh, here's my fucking undies from school."
Or have you got something else in there?
Yeah.
Like some people, maybe they're going somewhere else after.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want any, they don't want their workmates to see whatever's in there.
Or maybe you have a chocolate bar and a Monster or something in your bag that you bought before your shift for after your shift. But where's your receipt?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
who the fuck who keeps the receipts nowadays?
well, like my Woolies app, right? I have paperless.
Yeah.
I always say no receipt because I don't want the paper, right?
Yeah.
But like the thing is like, if I had to go back into Woolies, then I have to get my phone out and show them the digital receipt.
Yeah.
And like, I'm so conscious of it these days because I went into, I think it was Coles one day after Woolies, and I had nice coffee from Woolies.
Yeah.
And Coles were like, "Oh, you didn't pay for that."
And you're like,
I was like,
I
no.
did.
I was like, no, I bought this at Woolies. And they're like, "Where's your receipt?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a digital receipt." And they're like, "Oh, we don't recognize that." And it's like,
oh, yeah.
I was like, because they're a different company.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so do you want to look through all the footage to see if I've stolen? Like, I've just spent $200 on fucking nappies and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to steal a fucking iced coffee?
So
I was like, look at the footage. I was like, if you want to go through this, we can go look at the footage. You can watch me walk in with the iced coffee in my hands.
I was at Bunnings the other day, and I
saw you.
You did. I was getting I was just returning something because it was just missing a certain part of it, and I just went to go grab a new one. And I didn't need a refund. I just went to do it. This dude wanted a refund for something that he got, and he needed his license for it. Yeah.
For a refund?
For a refund. Exactly.
What?
And he had, Queensland digital license now.
Yeah, the new one.
They refused the digital license. I'm thinking, you can't do that.
No, that's not legal. But also, why do you have to show your license for a refund?
Yeah.
Like, I understand having the receipt or proof of purchase and having to have the same card to put it on.
Yeah.
Which is also bullshit.
Yeah.
But,
I think they're making people jump through so many hoops now.
Yeah, for no reason.
Just to not give them a refund.
Yeah.
Like, companies are making all these different policies now to make people jump through hoops to not get a refund.
Back when I used to work in retail, right, it was always avoid a refund and give a replacement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'd always, the policy was refuse the refund, offer a replacement of the same product or an equivalent product.
Yeah.
So, you give them a replacement of an equivalent product, and then the area manager would come in and be like, "Okay, where's all your returns?" And then you just fucking write them off, and it was a tax write-off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like if you think about it,
Like,
I was
okay,
replacing
so like
something.
I
was in and out.
I used to sell personal hygiene goods, right?
Yeah.
So like it was an electric shaver. They didn't like it, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted to return it. They refused, refund, whatever. So I'd give them an equivalent priced or maybe upsell them, whatever,
Yeah.
another electric shaver. The boss would come in, I'd be like, it's perfectly fine. Like, they've used it once. Like, what the fuck? And the boss would say, it would be like, it's a write-off. Chuck it in the bin.
Yeah.
And, like, that happens so many times. It's like, this is a product that still works and is fine. And they just replaced it, but returned it because they didn't want it.
Yeah.
And we're just going to write it off for tax write-off because it's broken.
Yep.
Like, fucking disgusting.
Yep. The waste is terrible.
Do you know what we didn't talk about?
What?
Anthony Albanese being a thirst trap.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't. We talked about him being in China.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. We moved on pretty quickly. Well, basically, there was videos posted on Chinese social media, and people were like of him jogging while he was out there.
Yeah, he was wearing a Matilda's jersey.
And they'll call him a handsome boy.
They were calling him a handsome... Oh, was it the Prime Minister or the Equerry? He was calling him a handsome man.
Yeah. And
he's like, look at this handsome man.
Yeah, it's like,
woo. And he was like running in his Tilly's jersey, and everyone was like, ooh, the Australian Prime Minister.
Chinese love him.
Look at his legs.
Too bad his opposition is not doing so well.
No.
He is a
bullfed.
He's a bullfed. Fucking bullfed.
You don't even have to swear. I just call him bullfed. It's funnier.
Bullfed. Dutton claimed wind farms off the coast of Illawarra and Hunter Valley would kill up to 400 whales a year. Professor Quinton Hainich, who lives locally to the area, who's the editor-in-chief of the Marine Policy, confirmed the paper was a complete fabrication and has never been published.
Nice.
But yeah, like, it's just like this whole thing where it's like, oh, Labor sucks because they're doing this. But it's like, this is a lie.
Okay, so the idea that they're trying to push is that, like, renewables, yeah, you're trying to save the environment, well, you're killing whales in the process. But it's a complete fabrication and lie. So here's, I'll bring up my phone.
You got it. Well, it's just like that thing, like, about the birds. Like, remember, like, they were talking about how wind farms would kill endangered birds and stuff like that. And it's like,
no.
Birds aren't dumb. They don't fly at fucking fans.
They don't fly into slow-moving fans.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what about the eagles? The eagle's one of the fastest flying birds on the planet.
The eagles that now nest on top of the wind farms?
Yeah.
What about the noise? What about the noise?
What noise?
Bro, have you ever been to Ipswich or Brisbane? There's fucking planes
There's noise
everywhere. And that's industrial.
Yeah, right?
Like, holy shit. Have you ever walked down the street? There's always construction going on somewhere. Like, fuck off with the noise bullshit.
Roadworks and construction.
Okay, so... Okay, so local residents have said this is a concern and fear before it properly begins.
Oh, dang.
Peter Dutton and his energy spokesman, Ted O'Brien, have stood up against the offshore wind farm. Nationals, One Nation, shooters and fishers, and everyone have rallied against the proposed energy zones.
The shooters and fishers, they don't want the whales to die before they shoot and fish them.
Yeah, so Arthur Rorris, love Rorris as a name. It's like Boris but with an R.
Rorris.
Secretary of the South Coast Labor Council says what was to have been a simple community consultation process to discuss the potential wind energy zones has been hijacked by political actors. They keep demanding information about the impact on marine life or the size of the wind farms, but the information does not exist yet because the zones have not been identified, so the studies have not begun. We are at stage 2 of stage 6, proposal. They haven't even broken ground.
It's a proposal.
It's a proposal. They haven't even done studies because it's a proposal. They haven't even finished the proposal. There's a lot of P's.
Yeah, this is years in development.
Okay,
basically.
so they haven't finished the proposal.
Yeah.
And like you can't finish a proposal. Like you don't have information before it's done.
I think it's, from what I read in the story, it's like if you have the first month of a year-long process.
Yeah.
It's like, this is where it's at.
You're
you're in the first month.
So they're at the point where they said, hey, you know what we should do? We should build a wind farm because it's super windy near Wollongong.
Yeah.
We're going to probably put it off the coast here. We don't know yet. We need to do studies and everything. What do the community feel about this? And then you know what? The LNP and all these people have gone...
They just attached to it. Yeah.
Wind farms, renewable energy. Why would you ever fucking do that? Oh, maybe because like so many Nordic countries have fucking done it and it's phenomenal and it has had like minimal impact on marine environments.
You guys keep going on about solar farms.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when the sun's not out?
What are you going to do when the wind stops blowing?
What are you going to do when the wind not blowing?
Well, the thing about renewables is you can't... the thing about renewables is you cannot rely on a single source of renewable energy. It's called a renewable grid, which you rely on wind, solar, water.
What are you going to do when the wind not blowing?
What are you going to do when the wind stop blowing? Wind stop blowing, wind stop blowing. What are you going to do when the wind stop blowing? The sun don't shine. That's a pretty good song. We need to get your banjo out, Andrew.
Ding, 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 ding. We're in the global south.
Okay. So, under the process, the potential environmental impact of an offshore wind farm will start once a feasibility license has been granted.
Yeah.
The project could only proceed and will only proceed if it is approved under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act.
Wow. It's almost like it's not going to happen.
If it negatively impacts if it kills 400 whales a year by studies, they will not do it.
Dude, if
the whole fact is that there's no studies because the proposal hasn't even been put forward yet.
Isn't Nordic countries really famous for their whales?
Yeah.
Couldn't they do it great? Like, obviously, different areas.
Well, obviously, there were...
Do you think 400 whales a year get killed off the coast of fucking, like, Norway or something like that?
No, but, like, the thing is that they've probably come up with this idea and they're going to develop it off of already existing infrastructure elsewhere in the world. Because you know how we're so far behind on everything.
Yeah.
We could just go, hey, how do your wind farms in the ocean work? And they'll be like, oh, like this. And we'll be like, that's how we'll work. Yeah. They also have wave farms over there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, waves still waving.
Yeah, and, like, we are only just developing our own machines because we have completely different waves.
Yeah.
To over, like, in different parts of the world.
The Northern Hemisphere, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, we have to do something. We have to build an entirely different machine.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What happens when the wind don't blow and the sun don't shine? Well, guess what? The waves still wave, motherfucker.
But what happens when the waves don't wave?
That's the second chorus, Andrew.
That's the liberal fucking conservative fucking chorus.
So yeah, the project won't proceed without the EP. The project won't proceed without the EPDCA.
There you go.
Well, without passing it. And Rorris says these political actors and newcomers to Wollongong's northern beaches who have built their McMansions on top of coal miners' shacks are seeking to derail a process that's been going on for 15 years and has won the support of... And the project has won support of wharfies, coal miners, steel workers, and the local council of Wooloongong and the University of Wollongong, as well as climate activists, Greenpeace, and the Australian Conservation Foundation. That we were told years ago that our area was carbon intensive and jobs here would be exposed in a transition.
Yep.
But we also learnt that the transition would need steel. We told the people to hold out, and now when a concrete project is in sight, we get these people from on the northern beaches who don't even want to sacrifice their views to save the earth.
Fucking got them.
So Neil Stevens, head of investigations for Greenpeace Australia, said that they've received many requests and sincere information about the offshore wind farm from residents of all regions who love the ocean and concerned about potential impacts.
Who cares about Greenpeace?
But no, Greenpeace is like the big lefty thing, right? But the thing is Greenpeace have said we have also seen all this exploited by political actors like Peter Dutton suddenly pretending to care about whales. The opposition, the LNP, have never cared about native species or animals or anything. They don't care. We can see this by them not caring about the impact on the Great Barrier Reef, where they have false scientists lying about shit. They don't care about impact on river systems. They don't care about impacts on forests. They don't care about impacts on bushland, anything.
No.
They don't care about the environment at all, animals at all.
No.
But the second that they can turn this into a
Anti-labor,
fuck renewables, fuck saving the environment.
well, fuck saving the environment, but save the environment.
Yeah, fuck saving the environment. We're going to save the whales.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: that's correct. Wollongong is a very heavy carbon area, and in a transition to renewable energy and renewable materials and better materials, that community will die because it relies on that. So what do you need? You need to bring in renewable facilities and renewable areas where they can work.
100%.
This is the whole transition from coal to solar, from coal to wind, from coal to water. You have all these very high trained technicians, engineers, scientists, everything working in the mines and the coal.
Yeah.
What you need to do is you need to pull them out slowly, obviously, and bring them into renewable industries. But the thing is they go, oh, well, I can't get paid $400,000 as a FIFO solar worker. And it's like,
well, maybe we shouldn't pay our FIFO solar workers that much.
Maybe we shouldn't pay our miners so much because now we have this industry where everyone's like, oh, just go to the mines, earn shitloads of money. Just go to the mines, earn shitloads of money.
But then everybody leaves the industry and relies on getting paid fuck tons of money.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're going to transition, it needs to be bipartisan and we need to transition into, renewable jobs that get paid reasonable amounts.
Yeah.
So these areas don't die.
Yep. It's almost like Australia's economy is going to be absolutely fucked for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the LNP are railing against fucking progress.
Yep.
They just want to take us back to fucking biblical times.
100%. On that note, we're probably about done with their podcast for this week.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Not really. It wasn't really big. It was just kind of like a filler thing. Nothing big.
Yeah.
But we've filled up an hour, so... And the cameras are about to go off again.
You can fill me up.
Fill you up later.
Do you want to end on that song?
Which song?
What happened when the wind don't blow?
What happened when the wind don't blow? When the sun don't shine? Boom, boom, boom.
What happened when the wind don't blow? The wind don't blow. The wind don't blow. What happened when the wind don't blow? The sun don't shine and the waves don't wave.
Beautiful.
Like, comment,
subscribe.
Tell us you hate us, please.
Love you.
I want detriment.
You want detriment?
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone told me they hated me, I'd actually enjoy that profusely because it means that my ideas would actually be getting under their skin.
That's a good point.
All right. Bye.
Bye.